One of the first concerts I ever went to was Crue Fest in 2008 when I was 13 years old, with, of course, Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx's other band, 6 a.m., Papa Roach, Trapped, and Buckcherry, who were rather hot at that time. Since I obviously couldn't drive at the time, my mom took me, and what an experience it was. I will never forget it. I had already known the songs Sorry and Crazy Bitch, but my God, when they actually played Crazy Bitch, I was completely speechless as frontman Josh Todd went into a very, very graphic, detailed description of a story that takes place in a gas station bathroom. Both my mom and I were basically crying at this point, me crying in hysterical laughing being a teenage boy, and my mom crying out of pure embarrassment for exposing me to that. It all went way downhill later on when the Crue came out, but that's a whole nother story for another video. Buckcherry just announced their 10th studio album, Volume 10, due out in June, and dropped a new single with a video for the song Good Time. So I figured it'd be fun to take a look at how Buckcherry essentially imploded early on in their career and then reformed later on down the line, finally achieving mainstream success with their smash double platinum third album, 15. Aside from fronting Buckcherry and being the only original and constant member of the band, Josh Todd is also known for his tattoos, as he is covered nearly head to toe, and ironically enough, tattoos play a major role in the formation of Buckcherry. Josh originally fronted an LA glam band called Slamhound, and shortly after his exit from that band, he was getting tattooed when Kevin Quinn, as tattoo artist, introduced him to Keith Nelson, who of course would go on to become the band's longtime guitarist from their inception all the way up until 2017, when he left due to differences with Josh over the band's direction. The two would record some demos and then enlist bassist Jonathan Brightman and Devin Glenn on drums, officially forming the band Sparrow. Due to the band's old school rock vibe, they gained quite a large following in Hollywood pretty quickly, eventually signing to DreamWorks Records, which was a subsidiary of DreamWorks Pictures and formed by David Geffen, Steven Spielberg, and Jeffrey Katzenberg. Right around their label signing, Sparrow received a cease and desist from an EMI subsidiary called Sparrow, forcing them to find a new name, Buckcherry. Buckcherry would eventually go on to release their 1999 seminal self-titled debut to rave reviews, spawning a number of singles for the movies, Check Your Head, and of course the absolutely massive instant classic, Lit Up. The album also went gold, which at that time was DreamWorks' first ever gold record. Shortly after the release, the band added rhythm guitarist, I'm sure I'm going to fuck up this pronunciation, Yogi Lonick, and hit the road supporting Lenny Kravitz on his Freedom Tour along with Smash Mouth. My God, what an interesting show that must have been. They then followed that up with a massive run supporting AC/DC in 2000, who at that time were supporting Stiff Upper Lip. They should have added Smash Mouth to that tour. AC/DC, Buckcherry, and Smash Mouth, now that would have been a good show. Buckcherry returned to the studio once more to record their second album, Time Bomb, releasing in 2001 and receiving the polar opposite reviews from the first. The reviews were absolutely awful and everyone hated it, except for, and I shit you not, Seth Putnam, the frontman for the grindcore band whose initials are AC, but for the purposes of this video, we will call them Backdoor See You Next Tuesday, and they covered the song Whiskey in the Morning. I was pretty shocked to find this out and equally amused when I heard it. Check it out. Within 6 months of the record releasing, everyone had left the band except for Josh and Keith, who had attempted to keep it together. Everything fell apart and the band was essentially dissolved by the summer of 2002. In April of 2002, a tribute concert for former Ozzy and Motley Crue drummer Randy Castillo was held in Hollywood. He passed away in March of that year, and Josh and Keith joined former GNR members Matt Sorum, Duff, McKagen, and Slash on stage. This, of course, would lead Josh and Keith to be involved with the initial incarnation of Velvet Revolver, and supposedly Josh recorded around 10 songs or so before Slash became unhappy with how it was going. Though it's been almost 15 years since I read it, I do have Slash's autobiography, and if I recall, he mentions in the book that Josh was off-key on a lot of the songs. He would, of course, end up being replaced by STP's Scott Weiland, rest in peace, and Dave Kushner replacing Keith, although Keith did receive a writing credit on the first record, Contraband, on the song Dirty Little Thing. No surprise there. A quick sidebar, there was actually a plagiarism dispute over the main riff in Dirty Little Thing with a former member of a band called Dirty Deeds, I think they're from the UK or Europe, claiming that it's a direct ripoff of the main riff in their song Cyber Babe. They were successful in their claim, and while I can't play Dirty Little Thing here, I can play a quick clip of Cyber Babe for you to hear the similarity.
She's my cyber baby.
Shortly after the Velvet Revolver thing fell through, Josh and Keith struggled to get anything going with Buckcherry again and were subsequently dropped by DreamWorks. Boy, was that a huge fuck up on the label's end. 3 years later, Josh and Keith missed working together and would wind up reforming Buckcherry along with rhythm guitarist Stevie D, who's still in the band to this day, bassist Jimmy Ashurst, and Xavier Muriel on drums. Free of a label and any outside influence, the Mike Plotnikoff and Paul DeCarli produced 15 album was recorded in just 15 days, hence the title, and was eventually released in October 2005 in Japan, and then in April 2006 in the US and Canada via 11/7, now known as Better Noise, and the label's first release. The record, of course, went on to become a smash success and is the Buckcherry record for most fans, spawning 5 singles, most notably Sorry, and of course the all-time stripper mom anthem, Crazy Bitch. Sorry was the last single from the record and was never actually planned to even be a single, but the band elected to release it as such due to their growing mainstream popularity. The song was a huge success for the band, reaching top 10 on 3 different Billboard charts: the Hot 100, Adult Top 40, and Mainstream Top 40. Ironically, though, the song only hit 32 on the mainstream rock chart. There's so much we could talk about with Crazy Bitch, but aside from being inspired by Paris Hilton's sex tape, I think one of the best stories ever is when Josh came up with the chorus lyric, he immediately called his mother and recorded it on her voicemail so that he wouldn't forget it, which is just absolutely fucking hilarious. I actually interviewed Josh a couple of years ago and we talked about this. Here's what he had to say.
I did. You know, my mom has been my biggest supporter. We are very close, and we've been pretty much transparent since I was a teenager, you know. So she's seen it all. She knows it all. We're very honest with, you know, everything that I've done. And so she knows me, you know, she knows that it's a part of me, you know. So that being said, yeah, I just was like, hey, keep this, you know, I gotta remember this. And I did. I recorded it on there.
While the song proved to end up becoming the staple Buckcherry song, it wasn't without any controversy. The band put out a casting call for women on their MySpace page for the video shoot, which took place at the Key Club in LA. In September of 2006, a lawsuit was filed alleging that at the video shoot, a minor was given alcohol, filmed exposing her breasts, kissing another girl, and dancing on a pole while the band was performing. Though some of that, if not all, was proven to be false. However, the video was removed and re-edited to exclude her once it was determined that she was in fact underage. While Buckcherry would go on to release 4 more albums following the release of 15, with their 10th on the way, none of them would go on to even achieve half of the fanfare of 15, but that's most certainly not to say that none of them are good. Some are certainly better than others, and honestly, their last 3, Rock and Roll, Warpaint, and Hellbound, are all absolutely fantastic, along with their 2014 EP, aptly titled Fuck. The band recently started their co-headline US run with Skid Row, and I think it's going to be a great rock show. Skid Row has been a bit iffy over the years with all the different frontmen and all that, but their new frontman, Eric Gronwall, is fucking killing it, so it's definitely something to check out if it's coming near you. All right, though, I gotta run. My fiance is waiting to get lit up on my white stuff, so I gotta go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time.